earlier, she's a social protection champion. She's an advocate of social protection and actually very passionate about social protection. And for all that we're seeing right now, she has in one way or another contributed to it. However, we're talking about the relationship between the state and government partners when it comes to implementing the social assistance grants for empowerment.
Yeah.
How has that been working?
You see, Glow-ria, this government of Uganda has obligations, international and regional obligations. And at that time, we had African Union obligations on social protection. We had the MDGs, because the social protection aspect in the MDGs was very outright. And so the development partners who wanted to see us walk the MDG journey introduced to us this social protection paradigm. And I'm glad that government bought the idea of social protection, and in any case supporting the older persons as part of the vulnerable people. Because that is where even youth livelihood program comes from, that is where your web comes from. And so this SAGE started like a discussion there to ensure that no one is left behind. And so when government bought it, of course, as a developing country, they did not have the resources to finance at that time. And so the development partners took us through a pilot, both to support us through financing, secondly, to make sure that the government gets to understand as it implements, given that they didn't have money, but to understand the aspect of social protection. And I'm sure by the time they ended the pilot phase, government had already understood that actually, I think older persons are part of the vulnerable persons that we need to support out of vulnerability. And I'm glad that in the manifesto of 2016, the NRM party specifically made a contract with us that the older persons, they would roll out SAGE to all the older persons as they came out of the pilot. Which commitment they had even earlier made in the 2011 manifesto. I hope it surfaces again in the 2020-2021 manifesto. And I want to call on Honorable Kasule Mumba to ensure that social protection and SAGE appear in the manifesto. And I want to send this to the manifesto committee that has been appointed by His Excellency. But now the development partners committed to support us with almost 3/4 of the budget. And then government of Uganda also committed with a memorandum of understanding that they would also contribute a quarter of the budget, which they really did, but from a lot of championing, because it became difficult for them to honor even what they committed, and then the development partners were asking themselves whether they understood it well. But I thank the Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Social Protection for making sure that government's commitment is given, because we would check every budget, scrutinize it to ensure that the money that government of Uganda was supposed to put as counterpart funding was really found in the budget, up to sometimes stampeding budgets. And we are glad we have been achieving, of course, through a lot of effort on the floor, but slowly we have achieved until we introduced the advocacy for national rollout SAGE, which we have achieved, although the age is still the issue, the eligibility age. And for me, I think we don't need to push everything at one time. We can achieve a one by one, because at the time when the pilot was being implemented, a lot of questions on equity were put. It is not equitable, the money is not enough, the resources are not distributed well, why those, why not us? So we had a number of questions to answer, and one of them, the policy issue, was answered. The equity issue is getting answered, because now the national rollout will go to all the districts, although there are a few issues where we need to really bring out aspects of inclusiveness and of course equality, because Now the pilot districts have been left to 65 years and above, and then the new districts are going to 80 and above. There is a question there that will come again that we need to continue to look at, but we are only soothed by comforted by the promise that the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, the Minister of State, Honorable Tuzo, on the floor of Parliament, she promised and committed government that in 3 financial years from now, they will have gone down back to 65 to all the older persons in the country. And I know that we have now another job to do, to advocate that it moves from 80 years to 75 in the coming budget until we get back to 65 and we are all at the same level. So that kind of equity aspect needs to be addressed. But what I see, all in all, is a commitment. A political commitment is the best for this. And for us as a Parliamentary Forum on Social Protection, we wanted this to be a political commitment. And that is why most of the members of Parliament will be on fire if SAGE does not go to their districts before we go for elections. It's going to be a critical aspect. We are making it political until every one of us can be aware and try to emphasize that government provides financing, starts regarding social protection as an investment, and then we gather all our efforts together. It can only be done through a partnership, strategic partnerships. And if we have to do strategic partnerships, I know government can put finances, development partners can put finances, but we can take advantage of the community structures. Our community has a very rich culture that we know that we are supposed to look after the older persons and the vulnerable people within us, the disabled, the older persons, and all those who don't do well, both financially and socially. So with that, government would take advantage and empower communities to do it. They wouldn't even wait, because the communities have formed VSLAs. Actually, in my district, there are some VSLAs which they call to a zig. Let's plan to bury each other. So if they can go to that extent of even thinking that when someone dies, there should be this money that they
have like some kind of
a funeral insurance. They have health insurance. So if government, through the microfinance support, could empower these VSLAs, then we wouldn't even do it. With social protection, they would do it. They already have them within their homes, but it is because they are strained financially that they cannot take care of all the other welfare aspects of the people, the vulnerable people amongst them. But government can take advantage of this. We have a rich culture. We keep with these people in our homes, and we share whatever little that we have. But the government does not need to see a household where these vulnerable people even sleep hungry, because some households cannot make even 1 meal a day. So it's about government trying to facilitate these community structures and creating awareness to the community that the vulnerable people amongst us are first of all our responsibility before we push it to any other party, so that they are told to take care and facilitate it.
We're going to take a short break, and then when we return, we will start from right there.